post-traumatic stress disorder. That's my official diagnosis, because the Grand Regent had Mark genuinely tweaked out so bad that this man is legit suffering from trauma on the same level as a World War II vet. And it only got worse throughout the episode, because after the Viltrumite War, this man Invincible is more mentally and emotionally scarred than a little baby son. Like, bro is terrified at the mere thought of his ops pulling up. So the episode kicks off with a shot of the remaining Viltrumites ominously looking over Earth from their ship, led by the man himself, Grand Regent Thragg, and he looks pissed. His Viltrumite lackeys fly down and are immediately on timing, creating NAV album covers on arrival. A straight emergency tsunami type tidal wave that's taller than the skyscrapers in the city. And these boys wasted no time turning this peaceful little town into New York City after the Avengers get done saving it. Nothing but chaos, carnage, destruction, and madness. And of course, plenty of bodies. Yeah, nah. With each passing episode, Invincible is solidifying itself as one of the top 3 worst universes of all time. Because what do you mean me? As an innocent, unsuperpowered, taxpaying civilian who was probably just on his way to his typical 9 to 5, now has to get absolutely speared by an unhinged Anissa, all because Mark Uninvincible Grayson and friends pissed off some all-powerful space demon a billion miles away from here by absolutely booming his entire planet. Egregious stray, bro. And do y'all wanna know the cherry on top? Do y'all remember that tidal wave of water? Yeah. My glorious Black Queen is cooked. But anyways, unlike me finding out Lotto cheated by having a baby on me, it was all just a bad dream. Omniman shakes a clearly distressed Mark out of his trance, trying to calm his nerves, telling bro that he needs to stop worrying, cause even if the Viltrumites are on Earth, there's nothing they can do about it right now, cause they're still days away. So as Omniman and Mark are both at the table, just mulling like they just fumbled a baddie, Tech Jacket comes in trying to ease the tension, cracking a couple jokes, battle planning, and saying if shit gets sticky, then she ready to get active. But just like some Chance the Rapper in the big 2026, they weren't trying to hear that shit. So after some time passes, these boys finally get the notice that they're pulling in the Earth's solar system. And Omni-Man immediately gets on his offensive coordinator type flow, calling the plays, giving out another game plan. But just like if Coil Ray looked at me like this during a concert, nothing was stopping Mark, who just bolted out of the ship in Mach 7, just looking for smoke. And Mark is just patrolling the streets like Batman, looking for any sign of the Viltrumites. But everything's all good, like nothing's wrong. There isn't a single sign of destruction in sight. Everything's normal. And that's even more concerning for Mark, because the billion-dollar question still remains. Where is Thrag? So Mark pulls up to his house to see his mom, since it's been nearly a year since he's been on Earth, vaguely and briefly explaining what went down in the war and what happened to Oliver. And as Mark's walking away, he turns around mid-sentence to see his worst nightmare. Thrag, with an iron grip on Debbie's neck. This is the smallest repayment for what you did to us. And Thrag just takes the top off Debbie like a convertible, ripping her head clean off her body as a completely shocked and confused Mark helplessly watches his mother's blood splatter onto his face. And the tension is through the roof, but
I knew it was fake. I knew it.
Mark was just in his head, suffering from his first major PTSD episode of the finale. And I'm crying, cause we ain't seen a cartoon character tweak out this badly over a supervillain since the OG Teen Titans. Thrag was legit giving Mark the Robin treatment, cause I'm already knowing y'all remember the catastrophic paranoia and trauma Slade put that man through, causing him to see, hear, and feel the non-existent threat at all times. Really had that boy fighting his demons, no Ken Carson. But anyways, as they wrap up their convo, Mark tells his mom that he'll explain everything in detail later, but he needs to go see Eve. And oh, Omni-Man's waiting outside if you want to talk to him. And y'all boys, lock in real quick, cause apparently, sometime during this time skip, Omni-Man found the time to enroll in Future School of Toxic Masculinity, cause as soon as he linked with Debbie, that boy locked in. Bro was really moving like that one trash toxic dude that knows no matter what he do, he gonna get his girl back. So the convo starts off with Debbie scolding Omni-Man for everything he did wrong, and bro's just listening cause that's all he can do. Debbie goes to leave, but this is when Omni-Man fly steps in front of her saying,
"Stop treating me like you don't know me."
Didn't you single-handedly raise the murder rate in Chicago by 800%? Yeah, but they were gonna do that regardless. Didn't you beat Mark to a pulp and give him stage 18 CTE? I already said that was a prank, bro. Like, I was trolling. You had a baby on me. Debbie, baby, listen to me. I was depressed. The Thrag Sussy meant nothing to me. It could never compare to you. You still called me your pet.
Honey, don't act like you ain't asked me to call you worse in the bedroom.
Type shit.
Yeah. it's clear that Nolan graduated with his PhD in gaslighting. Cause if we look at this from a strictly toxic perspective, that boy was cooking. And this one look from Debbie was all I needed to see to know that Omni-Man may not have his foot in the door just yet, but man's for sure got his toenail in there. So we cut over to Mark, who pulled up to Eve's crib and wasted no time. Bro saw her new appearance and immediately cracked buns. He eventually tells her everything that happens and lets Eve know if the Viltrumites pull up to Earth, there's little to nothing he can do to stop them. And that single fact terrifies him. Of course, Eve tells him everything will eventually work out, and instead of stressing about it, he should just try to live life normally for now. But Mark couldn't even hang out with his friends without being in complete despair, cause this man's mental state was moving like a prime DJ Khaled album. But instead of suffering from success, bro was suffering from Viltrumites. Having another post-traumatic stress disorder breakdown in broad daylight, seeing dozens of dead bodies plastered around campus, not to mention the Nissa just floating there and eventually sliming out William. And at this point, it's more than clear to everyone around Mark that he's not okay. We cut over to the next scene to find Paul listening to Debbie vent about the sheer audacity of Omni-Man and how she's worried about Oliver. And we find out that during the 10 months Mark and him was gone, Debbie and Paul broke up. And if you team Omni-Man, I'm already knowing your reaction to hearing this news was like these. Green Giant. But if you was rooting for Paul, then you still not over the Debbie and Paul breakup. What more also say?
Nice guys always finish last, should've known that.
But anyways, Grand Regent Paul, being the W man he is, tells Debbie that since she's so worried about Oliver, why not just go to space and see him for herself? And as much as I want to praise this suggestion by Paul, little does he know, he just inadvertently threw Omni-Man the biggest oop of all time to get his girl back. Cause if the show is following the same path as the comics, it's only a matter of time before Debbie's running back to Omni-Man like these. So we tap back in with Mark and Eve to see him eating dinner on the roof. And this is when Eve starts telling Mark that she knows why her powers weren't working all those months ago. But before she can even get it out, Thrag comes out of nowhere, palming her shit like a basketball, completely crushing her skull before throwing her lifeless body back down next to Mark. But at this point in the episode, we know the drill. Just like Kim K's ass, if this was fake. So we get back to the actual conversation, and Eve tells Mark that she found out she was pregnant right before he left, and ultimately made the difficult decision to have an abortion. And this news just crushes Mark. You can see it in his eyes. And at this point, we can put Mark in the same tier as Rod Wave, cause you couldn't pay that nigga to have a good day. And Mark is in the same boat, cause he knows nothing but sadness and despair. So to pass time while the planetary defense system calibrates, Omni-Man visits the spot where he put that boy Mark in the ground like a pothole, just reminiscing on his past mistakes. So Cecil pulls up asking for a sit rep on the war, and Omni-Man says, yeah, we won the war, but there's still about 40 Viltrumites at large, and we have no clue where they are. And of course, Cecil hears this and is completely baffled, cause he was just like, wait, hold on, what? Won the war? Are you dumb? Did the 2016 Warriors win the finals after going to 3-1 on LeBron? No! You may see this as winning. Well, I see it as job not finished. Cause what do you expect us to do when 40 extremely pissed off Viltrumites come knocking on Earth's door looking for revenge?
Damn.
Like, bro, oh my God. Like, you the type of dumbass that'll go to a Chick-fil-A on a Sunday. Oh, 3 brain cell ad boy. So Omni-Man explains how the coalition is in the process of installing an early warning system to let them know if the Viltrumite cruiser enters the solar system. But the only drawback is, it'll take about 2 weeks for the coalition to even arrive with backup. And like any reasonable person would, Cecil just looks at bro like, you are so stupid! Like, bro, by the time the cavalry could even arrive, we'll already be in the same boat as Jerome Moore's coaching career. Grits! That warning system ain't doing shit for us, gango. So after this, Omni-Man goes back home to tell Mark that the defense system is almost fully calibrated now. So he's taking off for Telestria to check on the Yamcha of the Invincible verse, Oliver, and to continue looking for the Viltrumites. But before he can go, Debbie pulls up with a suitcase in hand, saying that she's going too. Mark, Eve, and of course Omni-Man are confused as hell. But hey, it's Big Debbie. If she say something, then word is law. And I just want y'all to peep this look from Omni-Man in the background, bro, cause I find this utterly hilarious. Mans is looking like, wait, do this mean I'm getting my girl back? And the icing on the cake was when Omni-Man asked, wait, so Paul is okay with this trip? Not that it's any of your business, but Paul and I broke up months ago. Hey, Omni-Man, I just want to put the word out there that you back up.
Green Giant.
Debbie gonna pull up talking about some, oh, I need to go check on Oliver. Man, what Blueface say?
Yeah,
As soon as I heard this, I started feeling like Shannon Sharp. You can take her to the mall, answer her FaceTime call, but it don't matter cause Debbie's still my ball. And I don't give a fuck about no Paul. Omniman in 5. Matter of fact, Omniman in 4, cause this was a clean sweep.
Hey, look who I'm fucking again. I had on ice with
Like bro, looking back at it, Paul never stood a chance. Omniman is 6'3", 240 pounds of pure muscle, and can fly. How do you expect him to compete? And the kill shot was definitely when Omniman said he'd have to carry Debbie up to the ship since it couldn't land.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Hey, all I'ma say is, I've spent enough time in the game to know when a nigga's doing his best LeBron impression and lying through his teeth. Like Nolan, why is you capping, gang? Like this man is legit showing her things that Paul could literally never. Nah, Debbie is an accomplice in all of this too, cause both Nolan and Debbie knew for a fact if it was that deep, Mark definitely could have flew her up to that shit. But somehow, Shorty just conveniently ended up in the arms of her man.
Coincidence? I think not.
And fellas, I don't mean to promote toxicity or any of that, but this just goes to show, no matter how trash of a boyfriend or husband you are, if she's digmatized enough, you can always get her back. But anyways, Mark ends up visiting Cecil at the Pentagon, and apparently cracking Eve one time made Mark forget all about how he was supposed to boom this senior citizen off the face of the earth for keeping Conquest alive. But hey, I digress. But during their convo, Mark ends up having another Thrag-induced trauma episode where Cecil gets absolutely Swiss cheese, and the writers were in a bag portraying Mark's constant mental paranoia and anxiety all throughout the episode. Cause as a viewer, obviously we could see it, but I felt it too. Cause this is what I'm showing somebody if they ask me how bad Mark's PTSD was this episode. So to clear his head, Eve suggests that Mark needs to take a flight with no destination in mind and not looking for trouble, just a flight. So he ends up going, enjoying the view from above, and just basking in the sun during golden hour, doing his best Miles Morales impression for the second time in 2 episodes. But as he's flying, he stops because he hears something in the distance.
Boy, what the fuck going on in Miami, bro?
And Mark looks up just to see the man who's been haunting every one of his nightmares, Grand Regent Thragg. Cape just flown in the wind too on some Duke Dennis nonchalant cool shit. And bro ain't even looking Mark's way. He's just farming aura. And at this point in the episode, I wasn't even sure if this was real or if Invincible was just pump faking us again. And the visual choice to have the camera pan in and out of focus to show Mark's internal turmoil was perfect. So of course, feeling like this, bro just started tweaking out like a possessed Cardi fan, having premonitions of all the death and destruction that's bound to ensue. So Mark closes his eyes trying to calm himself just to open them and see that Thrag is still there. So this ain't a dream. And this immediately confirms Mark's worst fear.
Yes. We are here.
And this realization has Mark shaking in his shoes, but now ain't the time to be scared. So Mark immediately speed blitzes Thrag, straight up TSM Daquan W keying bro, hitting him with a straight left right in the jaw. But little did Mark know, Thrag was on his RDC flow saying,
Nigga, ain't shit to me, nigga. Shit to me, what's up, nigga? Nigga, swing again.
Like Thrag must have had a vibranium plate in his jaw or something, cause that punch did nothing. But Mark just presses on, following up with another flurry of attacks. But this whole time, Thrag is just making Mark look stupider than Rakai when you hand him a book over a 2nd grade reading level. So Thrag just ends up palming Mark's face, just using a Mortal Kombat throw to disengage, telling Mark to
Wait a minute.
cause he's only here to talk. So Thrag starts monologuing saying, yeah, the Viltrumites are here on Earth, but we've done nothing to your planet. But don't get it twisted, gang. Even though it's less than 40 of us, we still have more than enough power to atomize this planet if necessary. And this is when Thrag delivers one of the coldest lines in the entire show.
Let me explain your future to you.
Thrag told this man he didn't have a choice. Mark's future is gonna bend to his will, whether he likes it or not. Just an ice cold delivery dog. So essentially, Thrag said he's instructed the Viltrumites to stay hidden like an Epstein file, blending in and living among humankind with the goal of reproducing to rebuild the race. The Viltrumites won't interfere in any earthly affairs, but any attempt to stop them will result in the death of billions. And yeah, they'll leave some human survivors, but only for the purpose of forced breeding. But either way it goes, Thrag said he's getting what he wants.
You do not have a choice, and yet you must still make one. Do you and your planets accept my terms, or do you choose annihilation for both our people?
So at first, Mark is all whiny like, no, do you really think I'm gonna let you stay on my planet? Use us to breed and get stronger? no, I'll never. But as soon as bro saw Thrag in that fighting stance, Mark did a complete 180, changed his mind real quick, especially after visualizing all the damage Thrag could cause, and even this dreamlike state. So Mark just swallows his pride, saying yes, he'll accept Thrag's terms, inadvertently becoming the savior of both Earth and the Viltrumites, willing or not, and Thrag just flies off, saying Mark will never see him again. But anyways, back on Telestria, Alan receives a posthumous message from Thetis, telling Alan that even though he got sent back to the lobby,
It's not enough.
if I got packed up, then the other Viltrumites need to get packed up too. So he goes on to explain how he's been having his scientists cook up the Scourge Virus 2.0, and he wants Alan to use this to finally get rid of Thrag, even though doing so would also kill Mark and his family. But Thetis just doubles down, saying no matter the cost, every last Viltrumite must die, leaving our boy Alan in a tough spot. But hey, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, hit that sub button for me, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload. Follow me on Twitch so you can chop it up with me when I go live, and sub up to the second channel for even more new content. I post on there almost every day, and we on the road to 10K, so lock in with me. If you haven't already, join the Discord to stay updated on everything. All links are gonna be down in the description. And as always, I appreciate the support here on the main channel. Like, I couldn't do none of this without y'all, so thank you.
So, yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Be smooth.